Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, man. It's that time of the month. July is upon us. We just had a big celebration, you know, shooting off fireworks for our great country. Pretty awesome. What is it about women? My wife loves fireworks. You know, I'm fine if they're like 5 minutes long and then you come home and you live on your life, but my wife loves fireworks, and the longer the better. So we're gonna shoot some more off tonight. With that said, I had to buy my son a pack. We'll be super careful. Hope you guys have been careful. It's a fun holiday though, shooting off fireworks as long as everybody's safe. But with fishing July, let's talk about that a little bit. And well, first, let's give a battery away. We are giving a blue top away every month. Obviously, this is a plastic one. It's a dummy. I've had it forever. It's dirty, but great partners with Optima batteries. I pick a winner every month. This winter, I've got Caleb Thomas Fishing. Brand new to fishing, and man, I just randomly pick it, guys. That's how it is. Go down through there. I don't actually do it. I asked my cameraman to do it because that way I'm not biased towards. I got a lot of friends on YouTube too. You know, a lot of people I know. I meet you across the country, and I don't ever want to get, hey, that's your buddy that you picked that battery for. So I always let my cameraman do it. But Caleb Thomas, you've got to send me an email through my website so I can mail you this battery certificate. Then you'll get a battery in the mail from Optima Batteries. Big thanks to those guys for sponsoring this series of videos. We do it every month. Where to start? Every month of the year, we try to break down 3 lakes. Some of them I've been to, some of them I haven't. And you know, it's just a place to start. That's the name of the video, where to start. I'm giving you some areas to start. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's where I'd start, hopefully to get a few bites, to get your wheels rolling, to get you thinking about where to catch some fish. So with that said, July, it is a month. Let's talk about July a little bit. June, I think, is awesome. You got all those groups that moved offshore. We caught them. The problem is with catching them and you know, offshore fishing, it starts to break those groups up. The thermocline starts to change. Water gets hotter. That's with the stable water conditions. Let's just talk about what's happening right here in Oklahoma in July. Our water's really high. We're gonna go film tomorrow, and the lake's gonna be like 6-7 feet high tomorrow. So they're not gonna be out there offshore. They're gonna be on those points. They're gonna move up in those bushes. You know, the where to start in June. You know, we talked about Ray Roberts catching fish offshore, but I said, hey, if that water comes up, they're gonna go in the willow trees, and that's what happened at the Classic. Those fish went up in the willow trees, and that's how it all went down. So you gotta take those water levels into consideration for when you go there, because like if I'm talking about, I don't wanna say my lake yet, but if I'm talking about this lake, but then you go there and the water's high or the water's muddy, that's out of the equation. You know, I did a really good blog on where to start depth-wise, and we've talked about it here on the channel before. You know, it's kind of a multiply times 5. Take your water clarity, times it times 5, and that gives you a depth to start. That's going to be the same thing in July, you know, because if I'm telling you, like, you know, on this lake here, go out and fish, you know, 15 to 25, but they just had a big flood and you can only see 6 inches down in the water, that's not going to be your best scenario. So you can look for those blogs also on my website. We post them on social media for you guys to read, and obviously on the Major League Fishing website. So the lakes that we are going to do this month, I'm really stepping out of my comfort zone here on a couple of them, but one of them we're going to do right here. I've got West Point pulled up, and Justin Betts was one of the many that asked about West Point Lake in Georgia. I've not fished it in July, but I'm going to tell you where I'd start. I hope I'm halfway close, but I'll tell you, if I was to go there and start practicing, looking for a tournament, some areas that I would start. The next lake we are going to do, I had a lot of people ask about lakes in Massachusetts. I've never fished Massachusetts. Stephen Hamlack, I don't want to mess your name up, Stephen, but you were one of them. I know there's multiple others when I went down through the comments. I've got a lake in western Massachusetts that I picked. I think it's called Onota, O-N-O-T-A. It's just a cool looking lake. And you know, there was one really big lake there in the middle of in Massachusetts. But I didn't ever see any boats in the photo I was looking at. There wasn't very many boat ramps. There wasn't any marinas. I was like, maybe it's a private lake or power lake or something. I don't know the name of it. You guys will know it. It's a big lake. It's got lots of different arms, but look, it's by far the biggest lake in Massachusetts. But we're going to do that lake. I just think it's a cool lake because it's got a really neat features in it. And then lastly, I kind of struggled and looked around. I was going to do Pewaukee Lake in Wisconsin. Had a lot of people ask about Wisconsin stuff, and then I said, man, let's do the Mississippi River. Let's do one that's fun, a place that would be a lot of fun to go to in July. And if I was picking like here in Oklahoma, I was like, man, let's say it got really hot and we hadn't had all this rain, I'd go to the Arkansas River. I mean, river fishing in July is good. The reason is it's current. So we're going to go off into the Mississippi River. A great fishery. So with that said, let's go right to it. Let's get into West Point Lake right here in the Georgia-Alabama border. Okay, so, and a lot of people have asked, what are my maps here? I've got C maps. I've got this C map here and this one here, they're the same thing. One of them's a reveal. That comes on a chip, you can download it, and then the C-Map Contour Plus, that just comes in the unit. That is just what comes. They're really good maps. I really love how I can shade them and color them, Google Earth, background, all that stuff. So right here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I got 5 spots to look at to start on West Point that just it's what I would look for, you know, and they're in the middle to lower section of the lake with the exception of this one right up here. So if I zoom in, this waypoint right here, why I picked this, I believe this is the back of Caney Creek. When I looked at that on Google Earth, and one thing I want you to think about at the end of July and especially getting into August, that thermocline, it starts to compress, oxygen gets low in the water, the water's hot and warm. One of the most overlooked spots is where you got fresh water rolling in. Kentucky Lake's a prime example. The whole Tennessee Valley is a prime example. You'll have spring-fed creeks that you've got cooler water, 60-degree water, 70-degree water rolling into that 80 to 90-degree water, and everybody thinks, oh, deep out offshore ledges and all that stuff. If you can find one of those spring-fed creeks rolling in there and that water's cool, you can catch fish back there. It's just a given. And I noticed this on Google Earth. There's a big set of rapids right there. I think you can catch fish right there. I just think it's an area that I would go look. 2 other areas that I would go look right off the bat first thing in the morning is this Saddle Island. I think that's actually water through there. This is just above a big marina right here. And then this saddle right here. And why I like those saddles, so many of the times they're pulling water, they're generating water, and it's just a natural funnel for those shad to come over, those bass to ambush them. I'd be throwing a topwater, I'd be throwing a buzz bait, you know, maybe a crankbait, but I would be there at daylight, and I think I would catch some fish right there in those saddles. And that's something you can take to all lakes across the country. I had a couple saddles there in the islands on Lake Texoma that early in the morning I catch some big smallmouth on in July. It's just it's a natural area to look when you got that hot summertime, when water's pulling through the lake. It's just an area that I would definitely look. I just marked a couple others that I want you to think about in the lakes that you go to. So you notice you've got this river that comes down, makes this big outside bend. Think about current, think about water going through this lake, and I've got 2 points that point upstream to that current. I just like them. I like the way they look on the map. I've got current coming right down this way. I've got super deep water. I've got 10 that goes to 30 instantly. I got this flat. You see how it makes a little tabletop right there. That's like a table, like a feeding table. That's like sitting at the dinner table at the house. That's where they're going to eat, right there. It is. You go right up here a little bit further, there's another one, and it's even bigger. This is going to draw a lot of attention, but that faces right into this current coming down, and it's also at the mouth of a creek. It's just a spot that's going to have fish. That one is so big, you're going to have to idle around on that and find little irregularities or actually see the fish. But just see this big flat with deep water next to it, you know there's going to be brush piles on that, you know there's going to be stumps on it. That's the stuff I would look for. And I would go watch that video of baits, you know, what to use in July that we just put out last week. You know, that's the kind of stuff I'm gonna be using out there. Football jig, shaky head, a big spoon, you know, crankbait will still work this time of year. That June video we did on the baits, same thing applies right here. But those are 5 areas just on West Point Lake to look at, to think about. By no means are those only 5 areas. There's a lot of other things that come into play there. You know, there's some cypress trees and that kind of stuff. I think one of those saddles that I showed you actually had cypress trees in it. But cool lake, big lake. I love that lake. Yeah, it'd be a fun lake to go fish. So let's move on. Okay, so here we are. We are zooming in. And let me remind you guys, you've got to leave me a comment. Just leave me something, because I got to have something to choose you next month or to choose you this month to win that battery. Don't forget, you've got to leave a comment, like, and subscribe to the videos. Just a way I can give back to you guys for supporting my channel, which is a big help to me, guys. All right, this is Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I've never been it, but this just looks like an awesome lake. I did Google it. It's like 670 acres. It's got smallmouth and largemouth in it. I think it's probably got, I don't know, it's deep. I think I read something in there even about trout. I don't know, you guys may laugh at me for picking this lake, but I just thought it's a really neat lake. It would be a cool lake to fish, and one, I think this upper end, like up in here, those fish are gonna spawn really early. And then I think in this end down here, they're gonna spawn a month later because you got such deep water, such cold water. So it's kind of gonna extend the spawn a long ways. So why I choosed it, when you look at this lake, look at this bar that goes across it. This is just awesome to me. Any wind that blows that way, any wind that blows this way, it has to go over that bar. And like, to me, my whole day would be spent fishing back and forth on that bar right there. It's just a cool bar. You know, there's tons of boat docks, guys. This to me would be an easy lake to go fish boat docks on it. So, you know, I just love that bar. Obviously, you got those boat docks. You know, if I was to pick a boat dock in July, I would probably pick some of them right here in this section of the lake here. Not in the deepest section, but not in the shallowest section. You know, maybe some on this side, or right where the deep and the shallow meet, right in the middle of the lake off these points, I think would be really good. But let's say this lake has grass, and I don't know if it does or doesn't, but a lot of small lakes have grass. It'll grow out to, you know, 13, 16, 17, 18 feet. Some baits to think about and what to do with that grass. You know, if it's super thick grass, I'd love to flip a 1-ounce jig in it. A lot of times, it's not thick enough. So like I will cast a drop shot. It's like one of the best techniques, you know, from Minnesota to Massachusetts, just casting a drop shot to that outside edge of that grass can put a lot of fish in the boat. Just get you like a Berkeley bottom hopper worm. It's a finesse 6-inch worm or the 4.75 worm. Shorter leader, you know, about 8 inches, and just cast to that outside edge. That's one way to catch them. A jig is be a way to catch them. You can crank them at times, you know, on that outside grass edge in a lot of these natural lakes up north. But think about that outside edge in July on some of these lakes. I'm not saying Oneida has grass, but I know a lot of lakes has it. You know, here particularly on this one, we've touched on the boat docks, we touched on that ridge that goes across it, you know, if it has grass, obviously. And then 180 degrees the other direction, think about super shallow fish underneath lily pads with frogs and those kinds of things. That's gonna be another weapon or another way to start when you're fishing. So it's a small lake. I can't really say a lot about it. Yeah. I like this point here too. If you're going to get out offshore and try to fish something a little bit offshore, just with, you know, deep water coming in close. But man, I really like this right here. To me, that just looks incredible. Really good. I don't know what this is right here. This may be another type of road bed that goes across here. It looks like it is. Oh, I think when I looked at that on Google, that's actually a bridge. You can't get past that. So the lake stops right there. But cool lake. This could be a saddle right in here. It looks like it's about 8, 9, 10 feet deep, anywhere around there. That wind's gonna come around it, push around it, but neat looking little lake. All right, let's move on to Crosse, Wisconsin, one of the all-time greatest fun fishing lakes there ever was. I need to take it out of map reveal and go to see map contour. That's gonna be it right there. All right. It's such an awesome place. Such an awesome place. So, July, we've talked about it a little bit here. I always want to think about current. That's just, fish are lazy in July. They don't have to eat a lot. They want stuff to be brought to them. So anywhere you have current, like any of these lakes that you're going to fish, wind generated, power generated through the dam, stream generated coming in the upper ends, in the back of a pocket, any of those things are things that I'm looking for on these bodies of water. So let me get to where I need to be on this one. Crosse, Wisconsin, Pool 8. I mean, we've had a bazillion events up there. Really a neat place, and just tons of backwater chutes. Then you've got like the Black River that acts like a lake in itself. It's just a really diverse pool. So many different ways to attack it. You've got smallmouth, you've got largemouth, you got offshore fish, you got super shallow fish. It's just a cool place. We had a lot of requests to talk about the Mississippi River. So with that said, I'm gonna grab my iPad. I want to show you guys just a few things on my iPad. So when I zoom out on my iPad here and I look at it, just to give you guys a reference, this is the Black River. Everything up through here, as I come up through here, this is all the Black River till this dam right here, that dam. Great place to start. I mean, that dam, the water coming through there, lots of fish caught, beneath that dam. There's been lots of fish caught beneath this dam. Hot Defoe won a tournament right there below that dam. So just lots of current coming through there. Great place to start. But then when you come down the Black River, you've got these bridge pylons. It constricts the current. Great place to fish. There's lots of fish in and around these bridge pylons, these corners of these bridges. It's a constriction. The narrowest area as this current comes down through there. Another constriction spot you've got right here where it comes through underneath this bridge, and you got the shade of the bridge. A great place to start in that Black River. Now let's get out of the Black River. Let's give you a few other options to think about. When we get down here into like that Goose Pond area, one great pattern that you can run down there is Undercut Banks. I mean, they're endless, they're everywhere, but it's just a great way to fish. Like you'll catch smallmouth, you'll catch largemouth, and things that I look for, like here's a prime example of an undercut bank. You've got current hitting this island head perfectly, and that's just gonna be an undercut bank right down through there. And when I say an undercut bank, what it is that current has hit that bank for so long and it's undercut in the top, but then you got the grass on the top that's growing and it just makes a little canopy right here. And it is a pattern you can run when you find them. There's just guaranteed fish on them. I've caught both smallmouth and largemouth, and that for sure is an undercut bank. Another spot that there might be one is how this current turns right here on this spot. If I was to show you on a map here, without the aerial photo, yeah, right here. I mean, it actually even shows how you've got this deep water next to this island. This would be an area where, you could look at it. You could just see any of this deeper water that's come into the points of those islands. And it's not always on an island. It's on little turns that you'll get those undercut banks. Anywhere those contour lines come in close, where that current turns and then constricts, those can be undercut banks. Any of those places like that as you come down through there would be places that I'd look. It's going to be a flipping deal, and there, it seems like a lot of times it's really a lot of orange in my bait. I'll be flipping like a a big Texan, you know, brown orange type bait like a pit boss. I've done really good there, or even a jig of some sort will work really, really well. The other thing that you want to look for there is where the shoots dump out into like flat water. Like if I was to zoom in right here and I've got all this flat water right here that the water has to go through this grass. Those are going to be your frog areas. Here's another one right here. You know, this water has to go through this grass, this duckweed. That's the areas that you want to throw those frogs, anywhere you have that current going through the areas like that. Then last, the other pattern to look for, if you're at La Crosse and you're fishing the Mississippi River, get a little bit more out there on the main river and start fishing these wing dams. You know, there's tons of wing dams on this thing, and those can be deadly. I mean, just super deadly. You got these dotted lines that come all the way out across the river. Majority of them you cannot see. They're underneath the water. You know, obviously if you got this big red cone, that's going to show you one, but there's also one right there. There's another one that goes all the way across this backwater, across this island. So these back channels back here where these wing dams are, a lot of times don't get the same amount of pressure as these visual ones out here on the main channel. You know, this one here, and a lot of times they're gonna have little cuts and dips in them. I love going out there and I love throwing a top water on those a little bit later in July and August. Carolina rig's gonna work really well, you know, with a little creature crawl type bait, but don't overlook those wing dams. Those can be just super dynamite. So even, you know, just to narrow it down for you a little bit, look for maybe a shorter one or ones underneath docks. The ones off beaten path, you know, maybe those are the ones that's got a big bend in the river, ones that are at the mouth of, say, a big spawning bay. Any of that kind of stuff can separate those, make those a little bit better wing dams than other ones, you know. And a lot of times on those wing dams, one of the best spots is right up against the bank. You know, I don't necessarily fish the whole thing all the way out to the main river. I'm gonna fish that first 50 yards right up next to the bank. That to me is probably one of the biggest guaranteed areas to get a bite on those wing dams. So guys, those are some areas where to start. You know, this is a series that we do every month, you know, just trying to give you some areas where to start. Take some of this that I've said and use it towards your lake. Obviously, I can't cover every lake with just doing 3 a month. But, you know, with that said, I've got a really cool Project E coming out next week on offshore fishing on Grand Lake right here in Oklahoma. Just a 3-bait approach to offshore fishing, trying to keep it real simple. I've got another really cool Project E coming out on my 1-2 punch for catching smallmouth. And we did it out on the Great Lakes, an area of the Great Lakes that I've never fished before. I had to go out there and break it down, where to start almost. On a body of water I'd never been, a section of it I've never fished before, and I caught 2 monster smallmouth. And then, hey guys, also be looking next Thursday. We've got a really cool interview with Shaw Grigsby, one of the all-time best fishermen ever, sight fisherman, best gentleman ever. Somebody I truly look up to, and the best mustache. You cannot argue with the best mustache out there with Shaw. It's coming next Thursday too. So we got some really cool content coming up for you guys. And be sure you like, comment, and subscribe, because man, I'm giving a battery away. Not this one because it's a plastic one, but Optima batteries, big thanks to those guys, man. I've been a partner with them forever. They will mail you a certificate for one of them blue top batteries, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next week. Thanks.